when I get back from Thanksgiving, I want to try to get everybody in here. I want to get like all of our players in here.
What, like a board meeting?
No,
Oh, you're saying
just to do
separately.
this. Well,
You should just have all of us in here at once and have everyone trauma dump.
actually, somebody wants me to do that. They want me. They seriously want me to go in there and have all 20 of you
Round
or
table.
whatever. Yeah, and I'm like, no, because then everybody would talk over each other.
Yes.
And it would be ridiculous.
Yes.
So instead, I like one-on-one, but I want like 2-on-1. Tony, what are you doing? I would like 2-on-1, where it's like you and Sarah, or you and Cam come in, or the three of you.
I should have texted Sarah to come in today. Actually, she's still at school.
Yeah, or the three of you.
Yeah.
Come in.
I'm sure we'd do it. It would be hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. I think it would be good. Right? And then like some of the stuff would probably have to be edited out because you guys would open up. Like the stuff that you were saying out there.
Yes.
I can't put that on film.
Well, yeah, because that's just,
Well, some of it I could. Some of it was really good.
Thank you. I try to be insightful sometimes.
We always have good conversations. That's why I wanted you to be like kind of the first one. The next one will probably be Trinity. And then I'm actually doing one with Johan coming up after Buff State is out.
Oh, they're still in it?
Yeah, they're Sweet 16.
No way.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Really good.
Who do they play, do you know?
I forget. They beat Tufts last week.
Oh, wow. Did you see
Tufts
that whole thing
good.
with the Tufts lacrosse people?
No.
It was like a month or two ago.
No, I
The
haven't.
lacrosse guys all got rhabdo. It's called rhabdomyolysis, I think is the name of
Oh,
it. But it's like
yeah.
when your muscle fibers break off
Yep.
and then your kidneys stop working. So they did this like crazy workout, the whole team, and like
Yeah, I
a
did
bunch
hear
of them were
about that.
hospitalized.
I did hear
But they're
about
back
that.
playing lacrosse again. I actually checked the other day.
Actually, the Tufts coach took part in the book that I did. The
Tough Soccer?
I think it was the men's coach. And they're really good.
Yeah, they have really good athletic programs, I feel like.
Yeah. So where are all your... Okay, so the job interview today, where is it at?
Like location-wise, Salt Lake City.
Okay, so where are all the locations that you
That I'm
talked about?
interviewing for?
Yes.
Okay, so Salt Lake City, New York City.
Okay, you've done the New York City thing.
Right.
I want to talk about New York City, though.
Portland, Maine.
Okay.
Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay. East Coast. All of that's East Coast except Utah.
Yeah, Utah was very different.
Any Cali stuff?
No Cali stuff at the moment. That's far.
Yeah, but you go there all the time, or your dad goes there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to see. A lot of these places too.
So that's
it's
4
like
or 5?
5 different places. Yeah, and I have like a couple. Like I have a couple in New York.
Like around here in New York?
No,
or
like New York City. Yeah,
Okay.
I have like 3 interviews with places
Dude,
in
you
there.
should do the Utah one, and then start a PlayMaker chapter out there.
I don't know how I would. I mean, a lot of people in Utah seem very into health and wellness.
Right.
They're all like runners.
Yeah, they're all healthy because
know.
they walk everywhere, and like Denver, Colorado is the same way.
Yeah, one of my housemates is from Denver.
But
She's
it's also
great.
the elevation. The elevation helps with like
Yeah.
your breathing and stuff, and it helps you like lose weight. But New York City, I wanted to talk about one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring you in here
Okay.
was your summer
Okay.
and pick up soccer.
Okay.
Like seriously,
You just got fired up about that.
I did because like when I did the high school pickups towards the end of the summer, we had like 20 kids in here, and it was amazing. And
Yeah.
it was like my favorite thing to do. Like I'd rather do just pickups rather than training and stuff because the kids got more into it.
Yeah.
And like I want to know what the setup was. I want to know, like, I know the 11v11v11 that was at Pier whatever, right? Pier 40 or whatever it's
Pier
called.
40, yeah. Also Chelsea Waterside Park, Battery Park City. I was kind of bumping all around the place.
Like, so you could have a game every night if you wanted.
Yes. I do think also, like, though, for pickup, like a lot of these players that you invite, obviously you've developed a bunch.
Yeah, for the most
so
part.
there is
and
like
then
a
it's
minimum.
invites.
There is like a minimum skill level as well.
Okay.
Because then that's not helpful for a player who maybe isn't as technically talented because people will stop passing the ball in there. Even like, no offense to the PlayMaker boys, sometimes they're ball hogs.
Oh yeah, I
They
understand
think that it's like they're all just like going one-on-one with each other, and they forget that there's 4 other people on their team.
Yeah.
So I think that can be discouraging for people also.
What I like about in here is the tight space, and you cannot hide.
Yeah.
When I had the high schoolers, it was boys and girls, but you could tell the players that could not handle tight space, fast decisions.
Well, it's a lot of anticipating things and like seeing 2 to 3 plays ahead for sure.
Was there any that small aside in New York, or was it all 11v11?
It wasn't all 11v11. I think the smallest I played was 6v6.
Okay.
And then obviously I played 11v11. But I was every single time the only woman there. It was hilarious. I would I'd sign up through like an app, right?
Yeah,
and you could see like the roster.
Was it the Play app or what was it?
Good Rec.
Good Rec. Okay.
And you could see like the list of people that were coming, and I'd look at it, and there'd be a couple names like a name that could go either way, like a Dylan or like an Alex, and I'm like maybe a girl, and it never was.
Didn't you say something like there was a bunch of Kona? Didn't you say that there's like a Cornell group down there too?
Oh yeah, I also played in that. I kind of played everything. It was
all
alums.
Yeah. Is this like even? That
doesn't matter.
I'll crop it.
It was a Sunday league with Cornell alums, and we'd play against like Lafayette alums. And it was co-ed. A bunch of the people have just graduated like 2-3 years ago, and they do it for fun, but the level was pretty high. And a couple of the current Cornell men's soccer players who were working in the city came to those as well.
How much would it cost you?
It didn't cost me anything. They let me just like guest play.
Really?
But the Good Rec games that I played in were anywhere from like $10 to $15 for usually an hour and a half.
Right.
To 2 hours of soccer.
Would you guys play like on full size goals?
Yes. Sometimes
even
smaller.
Even if it's 6v6?
No. Sometimes smaller. The 6v6 we played on smaller goals.
Okay. Got it.
But it was funny because my dad came one time because he wanted to like see.
Okay.
And he was like sending videos in the family group chat, like Abby running around with a bunch of like grown, gross, like sweaty men. But it was awesome. I mean, I think there's definitely like something in me that liked being underestimated in that sense. Like you pull up.
Would they take it easy on you?
No. If they could catch me.
Oh.
No, but I don't think so. I'm also like, I'm a pretty like big, strong girl.
Yeah.
Like, and these guys were very into it. A couple of them were guys from like, this one guy, he was from Spain.
Really?
And like, you see some of the same people. You know what I mean? Like, even though I was bouncing around like locations sometimes and time slots, like you see some like repeat people. And as one of the only girls, a lot of people would like remember me. They'd be like, "Oh, Abby, right?" Because it was like kind of like bizarre that I was there.
Yeah.
But definitely there's like in the first like 5 minutes of each thing, like there's like a proving yourself period.
One day you texted me, you're like, "Man, your PlayMaker boys couldn't even like handle this."
Did I say that?
Something like that. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing.
I don't know.
The level was legit.
Oh, so the level was legit for sure. I mean, there was a group of boys who were college cadets. I want to say one of them was like Navy. Like there were some pretty legit soccer players, and also some people who just love it. Like if you're going to those things, like you really just love it.
Yeah. And
I think there's something in that the play and the intensity is just much higher. Like these people work normal jobs, a lot of them. Like some were students, like younger.
Yeah.
There was one guy who he played like club soccer at like Columbia.
And that's a legit level.
Yeah, he was very good. I mean, he was like smaller, which I'm sure like he thought about walking on to the Columbia men's team, all of that stuff. But you meet a lot of cool people as well.
Yeah.
Like there was an NYU soccer person. Like there's like a lot of different types of people from different soccer backgrounds, but all of them are there because they really want to. Like it's very voluntary.
How much of the alumni do you guys like actually see? Like we talked about like all the different sporting groups out there, but like do you see alumni a lot that like used to play there like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or not really?
I'd say we definitely have very invested and involved alumni, like a group of them that you see a lot.
Right.
One of my housemates
do they all like live around there, or do they just all
there's
travel?
There's one alumni who does live in Ithaca, and she works in grant writing for the university.
Oh, okay.
And she was there when they first advocated to make the team like a Division I program. Mm-hmm. So she is like super insightful and all of that stuff. And right, like I wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for her and those women who like pioneered, like Cornell's women's sports. It was like the 50-year anniversary, like a year or two ago. That's not that long.
50 years. Wow.
Like that's really not that long when you think about it.
Yeah, we're talking 1975.
Yeah. And like
wow.
The way that the game has developed in that short span of time is great, and I can't wait to see how much it
and
continues
think about
to
women's
develop,
soccer in general.
Yeah.
How many internationals do you have on your team?
0.
Good.
0 internationals.
I have an issue. Like with men's soccer, there's like a thing. Well, 2 schools shut down yesterday. Their men's program.
Because of funding things or
D2, whatever. It's like I'm really worried about where like men's soccer especially is headed. And I think that we need a thing where it's like kind of like the Bundesliga, where in the Bundesliga, you're only allowed 65% of your roster has to be eligible to play for the German national team.
Okay.
So why don't we do that in college? If you look at the men's side, like some of these schools have 80% rosters of internationals.
Yeah.
So why don't we just do 65 has to play for either the Mexican, the United States, or the Canadian national team. Boom, problem solved. And we wouldn't have this influx of 20 and 21-year-old freshmen from Europe who didn't make it as a pro.
Well, you're saying what's the problem, though? That we're not developing American players?
Yeah, that's part of it. And also coaches would rather have a 21-year-old than an 18-year-old
right
out of college
or
right out of high school.
An interesting thing, right? Like our men's team still in the NCAA tournament.
How many internationals do they have?
2.
See, that's amazing.
And the thing with Cornell is
and they're
no
what,
grad
16?
Students.
You said they were ranked 16?
They were ranked 16th.
A couple of years ago they were ranked number 8.
Yeah. And they like at an Ivy League school, like there's no grad students.
And so there's no grad schools, and they're not 20-year-old freshmen.
Right.
See, it can be done. It can be done that you can compete.
They just played Fordham. They just beat Fordham in the first round. And I was listening to the game on my car ride home from school.
How are you listening?
Like you put on the ESPN, and you can just play the audio.
Oh, okay.
So I was listening
your
to
phone?
through my CarPlay.
Like radio?
I was listening to the game, and it's like very interesting to just listen to a game. Because like you're really just like only what the announcers are giving you. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how a lot of the Fordham starting lineup was international students and transfer students, grad transfer students, which obviously Cornell, the Ivy League, doesn't have grad students on their competing Division I teams.
Right.
And they talked about how the head coach of Cornell men's soccer, John Smith, someone who's very respected, commented to them that he likes to really develop players. Like you come to him as a freshman and he will develop you through this pipeline. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason why they've had continuous success. Like my freshman year, they went to the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. Last year they had kind of an off year. They didn't make the Ivy League tournament. This year they came second overall in the Ivy League, and obviously now they're playing number 2 ranked Pitt this upcoming weekend. But they really, the fact that he emphasized the point of like developing your own players and being able to develop a player from 18 to 21, 22 years old is something that I think he mentioned like is the reason for their success. And he's able to connect with players more, like team chemistry develops more. You really get to know a player instead of kind of receiving an already developed player. And we had one transfer. Sorry, we have 3 internationals because we just had a transfer in my grade, mm-hmm. 2 transfers in my grade. One from College of Charleston, which is Division II, mm-hmm. and he's from Cyprus. And then another transfer from Tulsa. So that's like kind of bizarre for them. There's not a ton of transfers into the Ivy League. There was one transfer last year, whereas I feel like with a lot of other schools, people come and go. There's not a ton of loyalty in that sense. Like it's moving on to the grass is always greener, the next best thing, instead of kind of taking a moment to ground yourself in the program that you selected.
And that's why you've stayed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, like Marissa would always like talk about that, about how, oh, well, I'm not getting the playing time, or I don't like this coach, or I don't get along with this coach. So I'm just going to transfer. It's like, no, stick it out. Stick it out, and it might be the best thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah, I think loyalty is something that I find to be very important. Like, I want to play with teammates who are loyal to a program. I feel myself very loyal to my teammates and the program that I've selected. I was very fortunate to play a lot of minutes my freshman year, my sophomore year, and now my junior year. Mm-hmm. That didn't come as without a lot of hard work on my end, but I think, Cornell was very much a dream school of mine for a lot of my life, for the academics.
Did your mom go there?
No. None of my parents. My dad went to University of Buffalo.
Okay. Why did I think that?
No. I'm not. No legacy on my end of things.
Did Marin's mom go there?
Yes.
That's who I'm thinking
she went
of.
there because she went Penn undergrad.
Okay.
Cornell maybe for her master's. I don't know. She's brilliant, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always wanted to go there, and school has always been something that's very important to me, my education. And not that you can't get a good education at any college, but I don't know. I always felt like Cornell in my heart, and the people really do make the place, and I love the people there a lot, which is a big part of it.
How big is the school?
It's the biggest Ivy League, 20,000 undergrad.
There's 20. Cornell is 20,000?
I think so.
I didn't realize it was that big. I didn't realize it was that big. I just lost my train of thought thinking about how big that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot bigger than all the other Ivy League schools.
When I was coming up and we had to go like through the clearinghouse and everything, mm-hmm. It used to be said that like if you went to 2 high schools, you would be thrown down like to the bottom of the stack because they wanted to see loyalty. And you said you talked about loyalty, and I think about like our kids who have played for multiple clubs or 3 or 4 clubs, mm-hmm. right? Where like you only played Flash, right? So like, you played, I guess, Empire for a couple years, but like once you were like 11, mm-hmm. you were at Flash, right?
Yeah, I think I was 9 or 10 when I went to Flash. I think there's a difference between being in like a really bad circumstance. Like, I think you shouldn't stick around somewhere that, what are you looking at?
Cornell University, 26,284 enrolled in fall 2023. 16,000 undergrad and 10,000 grad. But in 2015, it was 21,000, so you were very close.
Thank you. But, I think there's something different. Like, if there is a scenario or a situation that you're in that's very detrimental to your well-being and a very toxic environment, there is absolutely nothing wrong with leaving that.
Oh, yeah.
I think something that I've started to live by, I told you this quote last time I was here, is you can't change the wind, but you can adjust the sails. You can't always change your scenario. You don't always have control over your scenario.
Right.
But what you do have control over is how you react to that scenario, and I think that's really important.
Absolutely. And, I mean, we talk about coaches and all that, and it's, dude, control what you can control. And going back to like what I was talking about earlier about kids need to learn how to be coached as well, and they need to learn how to train. Like, and I made this point out there. It's like, okay, if your older brother got in trouble for breaking curfew, and you're watching and you're up late at night at 2 a.m. watching your parents yell at your brother, and then you go out and do the exact same thing, that's dumb on you, mm-hmm. right? So it's like these kids, I'm making a coaching point towards one player, and then the other players are just like goofing off, or they're not paying attention. It's like, don't make the same mistake he made. And if they just learn like that, you'd be like just so much better like trained and I think at your level, at the college level, I think coaches can do a better job of team management, because we hear all the time about how players just don't feel like they're part of it if they're not one of the starting 11 and the 4 or 5 subs. And it's like, it just sucks. So Ivy is going under the 28 roster, right? You know, like the 28 limited roster? What do you mean?
I mean, we have...
How many players do you have on your roster right now?
Well, our seniors just left us, but we had 34 this past year, and I think we have 32 next year or something like that. I heard someone say.
Wait, you don't have to abide by the 28?
I don't know what the 28 is, to be honest.
It's new roster limits.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
But
we do have some girls who...
Somebody might get you're cut.
Who are injured to the, like, to kind of the point of medical retirement, if that makes sense.
Medical retirement? I've never really heard that.
You ever heard medically retired? Really? We've had some people at school who have medically retired. When the team doctors basically just advise you that, like, you can't continue. It's people when they have repeated injuries. A lot of the time it's like concussions, head stuff like that. If someone's just repeatedly getting injured and putting their body under more and more stress and it's not getting better, like, they can make the decision to medically retire. Yeah.
When you guys are at school and in the middle of a season, how much film do you guys go through? Do you guys have, like, individual meetings and like go over moments, or do they break down film in front of the entire group, or how do they do that? How do they go about it?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that we do film.
Because you watch every game of your own, right?
Yeah, I watch it a couple times.
Go back and watch it?
I watch it usually immediately after. And then I can pick out...
That's what charisma is.
And then I can pick out moments because the game is, like, ingrained into my brain. And then I watch it back when I'm separated from it, kind of, and my emotions have settled back down as well, because, you know, emotions are a big part of the game.
Do you ever go back and be like, you know what, I thought I played terribly, and you know what, I was actually pretty good?
100%.
Or do you ever think, like, man, I killed it, and then you watch it back, you're like, you know what, I wasn't that good?
Well, I think sometimes it's like, you want to be a consistent player. Yeah. Right? You want to be here. Yeah. But it is fun to be here.
Well, yeah, and it's not fun being down here.
Right, exactly. So I think I've matured with my game is becoming more consistent, and just more so, instead of having this, like, having my consistent here and just working to raise that consistent level higher. Yeah. So I'm never, like, fully happy with the way I play. You can always be better, but I think also you have to give yourself a little bit of grace sometimes. But there are very few times where I walk away from a game and I'm like, holy cow, that was the best game of my life. The best game of my life should be the next game that I play, and that should continue to happen. That's best case scenario.
See, that's why you're here. That's like a little clip right there. I don't know what's he doing. Yeah. That's exactly why you're here. Like your little like win thing, your win quote, and then I'm just gonna like make a little like post and it's just gonna be like Abby quotes and stuff.
What was I gonna say?
You were talking about film and stuff.
Oh yes, film. So you can request, like, my coach will reach out and he'll say, if you guys want to go over film individually, you can meet, and plenty of girls do that. I haven't personally exercised one-on-one film.
Why not?
I do a lot of film review myself, and we do film review as a team.
Yeah.
We use VO, so they can clip things, add comments, they tag you. So, you know, it's always a very interesting morning in my inbox when I get tagged you in a clip, tagged you in a clip, tagged you in a clip. And obviously, usually it's not positive things, because, like, they're not gonna tell you what you're good at, because you already know kind of what you're good at. It's things that they can work on. And then oftentimes, like at practice, after a game, beforehand, we have like this huge TV in our locker room in our practice facility. Yeah. And we'll go over some of those video clips, and it's like a very open conversation. They'll be like, Bish, what do you think you should have done there? Or what do you see around you that you could have done differently? And then it kind of makes people think and be more engaged rather than them just like talking at you, sort of. Mm-hmm. And then obviously we do film in like our scouts, right? We're scouting other teams. We're looking at what they do right, mm-hmm. and what things that they're good at. Yeah. And then we look at our own film and how can we apply that. So like, for example, when we play against a team that's playing in a 3-5-2, we talk about exploiting that space wide and behind. Right. So we watch a clip from the game the previous weekend, and you're like, it's like, Bish, here, you got to be checking your shoulder. You could have opened up and swung it into that space and behind. We're going to need you to do that this weekend. Kind of keeping those things at the forefront of their mind, and then oftentimes those are the things that we're going to be going over in practice.
And then do you guys go out to the field and do everything? Like, is that meeting before training?
Yes, it's before we warm up.
It's before training. Okay.
And then oftentimes it's like
walkthroughs and shadow play and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's like the focus, like, well, a lot of times we have the focus going into this game is we need to be finishing with conviction, swinging there's like main points to hit.
Yeah.
And we'll look at it in the film, areas that we did it well and areas where we could have done it well, but we didn't successfully. And then usually the drills we do involve that somehow. And then we're thinking about it during 11-a-side, all of that. We play a lot of 11-a-side.
Yeah. So like I'm doing this thing where I'm, watching players' games and kind of like video critiquing. Most of it is about just simple decision making, but it's mostly technical stuff that they need to clean up. But Anson Dorrance, I saw him speak in person years ago at a coaching convention, and they were talking about film, and he said that he would never go negative in a film session with girls.
Okay.
Because he wants them to always feel like they're good and like, the positive. He would not show them the negative. And he said that with boys, you have to be completely opposite, because boys, you need to show them that, like, dude, you're not all that. I feel like a lot of girls coaches do go negative. And if you're being critiqued by a coach, do you want the negative or do you want the positive, or do you want to, obviously everybody should want a mixture, right? But like,
I would rather have the negative over the positive.
You would rather have the negative over the positive. Why?
Yeah, because I know the things that I know my strengths. I know the things that I do well.
Yeah.
I am also aware of things that I don't do well.
Do you want those things to go noticed though? Do you ever feel like you did really well and then all of a sudden you don't feel appreciated? And you don't have to say that like, on a personal experience, but like I feel that like a lot of players that we work with, sometimes what they do well goes kind of unnoticed. And sometimes you want positive feedback. You just want, tell me the truth.
No, I mean,
like the one that I made of you when I like your bad touch was like, you're like, duh.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I know that was bad.
Yeah, like I do know, but I wasn't like, and I do know, and that's why like you saying that, I wasn't like freaking, like I wouldn't be freaking out. You know what I mean? Like,
thanks a lot, asshole.
I'm aware. Like when we watch film, and I've already watched the game like twice by then.
Yeah.
And my coach is pulling up a clip. I know what clip it is, and I know what I do that like it's ingrained into my brain. I was like, this is the clip where I play a picked through ball pass. And I know that this is what we're going to talk about right now. Like, I'm kind of already aware of what's going to be said. But I think it's good for the team to hear that, because I want the other sixes to hear that as well, because it's easy to become disconnected. Like, even, like, when I'm watching back a game, like, I'm usually watching myself, right? But it's important to be aware of what the other people are doing.
Yeah.
Like, I should be looking at what my 10s are doing as well. Like, sometimes I'm on the ball, and one of my 10s was wide open. They were wide open, and I didn't play them. And I'm, like, trying to get back to the moment of why didn't I play them? I should play them. I should be switched on to looking for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, too. Like, almost, like, learning a little bit of empathy for other positions, which I've played some other positions. I've played center back. I've played attacking center mid.
Positions or other players?
Both. And I think it's also important to know the players you're playing with. Like,
know their skill level.
Yeah. And I think also know their strengths.
Yeah.
Like, we played with 2 10s this year, and there were 2 very different styles of play.
Right.
Like, one was very good at driving forward and taking space, fast, like shifty, and the other one, very high soccer IQ, pinging like really great balls into the box, and she always wanted feet.
Yeah.
The other one wanted to be led, and I knew that. So I knew when I was playing to the 110, I put a little more zip on my pass in the space because she would get there, and the other one wanted her feet so she could do her little crafty and then passing thing. I think you have to be self-aware, and you also have to be aware of your teammates, because
absolutely,
if you're playing a pass to somebody like they're Mallory Swanson and they're not Mallory Swanson, it's not going to be successful, and then that is even worse on me.
Yep.
Because just as they're responsible for receiving a pass, I'm just as responsible for the pass that I play.
I'm working with like 6 teams right now consistently. And that's the one thing that I'm getting across is like, know your own skill level. Know like how good you are. Know like, can I actually pull this off when I'm trying? But also know your teammates. Like if they don't have the best touch, maybe you play a little softer pass, right? Especially at the younger ages. Or if that's your best player, put it on them. Just like little things like that some youth players just don't understand. And it's crazy that at that level you have to like, no, it's good at that level that you think like that. Now the question is, does your teammates also think like that? Because if they don't, that could be trouble. Don't you think? No?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what my teammates... It's actually very interesting. I wonder now that I think about it, I wonder what my teammates would think.
Her touch sucks, so
they're like, play Abby the slowest rolling ball possible.
And tell her to play the way you face so you don't turn into pressure.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's important to have the balance of knowing your strengths and weaknesses, because it can't, there's a confidence that comes in knowing your strengths. Like, and I use that during a game. If I feel a game, if I feel like a start to a game, like the intensity is kind of weird, or like the team seems like they're in a weird spot, and the goalie gets a ball and she's getting ready to punt it. I know one of my strengths is my aerial ability. Like, I know I'm good in the air.
Yeah.
The goalie's ready to punt the ball. I'm like, I'm going to win this ball, and it's going to get the team morale up, the intensity up, and it can completely switch the momentum of a game. Like, I know what my strengths are, and sometimes you need to kind of like do the little things that you're good at before you start to get a little more creative, and before you start to really pick up the intensity and the things that you do and the way that you play. Because sometimes you start a game, you kick off, and the vibe is just weird. Like, you kick off and you're like, okay, this does not feel good. But then you go in there, and I always try the first tackle I land it hard. Like, you go in there with like your body behind the ball and you win that, because that intensity is contagious. Yeah. It totally bleeds into not just your teammates, but also the sideline. And when the sideline is supportive and rowdy, like some of my housemates especially, like I'll go up and they'll be like, yeah, Bish is winning this ball. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to win this ball for my teammate on the sideline right now, because they're rooting me on right now. Yeah. And I'm going to keep showing like my strength again and again to help our team get to a good spot, hopefully.
We had a kid. So I coached at Detroit Country Day, and we were in the state semifinals, and we had a kid that actually played at Brown. Okay. Tariq Akil. And he, in the first 2 minutes of the game, he won a tackle, and he like annihilated a kid. Yeah. And the head coach, who was a legend, he'd won like 15 state titles and stuff. He's like, well, this game's over. Yeah. And it was boom, just like that. And that's another thing. Like, dude, you could set the tone. Who is going to set the tone immediately? But you nailed something too about confidence comes from knowing your strengths. I think it's also knowing what you're not good at. 100%. It's self-awareness. I think, Kona. So I think confidence comes from 100% self-awareness and knowing exactly what you're good at and what you're not good at. Like, if you're a coach and you know that, like, you know what, my game management isn't great, so I'm going to hire another coach that is really good at game management, and I'm just going to focus on the training aspect. Or, you know what, I'm not really into tactics, but I love training, and I love, the technical work and stuff like that. It's like, you got to know, like, that's why I started this. Like, I had coached college. I had coached ECNL and at that time DA, and I coached with Flash pros, and I was like, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to work with like kids and improve kids technically. Kona?
I think a lot of confidence comes from knowing who you are and knowing who you're not.
Yep.
And I think that's just like how you don't want to put the same 11 players out in a field. Why would you put 11 players who are super physical, big, strong players? That's their big asset. Like, no, you need a player who's crafty, a player who makes quick slashing runs, a player who has great field vision. Like, you need a diverse 11 going out there. Like, yes, you want them to have common strengths. You want everyone to be strong and fast and technical. But that's not everyone's primary asset. Yeah. Like one center back is going to have a different main asset than another center back, and that makes us better because if they're the same player, they're going to make the same mistakes. But if they're different players, the one's going to make a mistake and the other one's going to cover for them. Like that's how a team dynamic I think should be.
Yep.
I think it should be different types of players who share similar strengths but have unique styles of play. But I think also make players who want to make their teammates look good. I think if my teammate loses the ball, I'm going to clean this up for her right now. Like, that is just so important. I think even your movement off the ball. My center back has the ball right now. I
need to go move
whole
for
ass
her
to make sure that she has a good angle so she doesn't get pressed and they counter on us.
And that it's easy for her to get you the ball.
Yes.
That's what people don't understand about speed of play and stuff like that. It's it's dictated by the players off the ball. If you don't have an option off the ball, your play is going to slow down
100%.
because you have to take more touches.
Yeah.
And so everybody talks about, well, you need to improve your speed of play. What the hell does that mean? Mm-hmm. And it's all about the players off the ball and knowing. And again, it's knowing your teammate's skill level. It's I better get here so that I don't rely on her to win a 1v1 battle to get me the ball.
Yeah.
And there's some players that just stand around and just almost watch things go by. But
I've watched myself do that in clips too when I watch film.
Absolutely.
I watch back and I'm like, what was I doing? Was I tired? Was I assuming that they were going to be playing that one pass?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they had that one perfect angle and that perfect angle closes and it's now who do they have?
Right.
No one, because I was standing still or not checking hard enough or moving at the same speed into a gap, which is so easy for a defender to take on. That's something that I've worked on, is getting on that back shoulder and that counter movement and not being just some little easy sim to track into the gap. I think just always wanting to get better, not just for yourself, but for your teammates is really important. Helping your teammates get better. I mean, there are so many girls on my team who just women on my team who work so hard. They really put in the extra work. There's one player in particular who I'm thinking of. She scored 3 game-winning goals for us this year. She did not play last year. And her mindset is phenomenal. After we had our last game this year, she comes into the locker room and she's talking to my class and she's like, this is not happening again. And she's always trying to get better. We had a grad student. She's a wing. We had a girl graduated and she was texting her asking, what do you think I can do this summer to get better? And she's out there before practice when I'm out there before practice. And I was helping her with some passing stuff. And she was asking me questions. I'm not a winger, but she knows also that I have a lot of experience in soccer. And she was asking me about, she was doing some sort of dribbling sequence. And I actually stole something from you. I was I once had a coach that told me you're going to move faster if you're taking little touches and touching the ball more than if you're taking these big, long strides chasing the ball.
Yeah.
And she did it and she implemented it. And she was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. So willing to learn and get better. You have to understand, when you're a collegiate athlete especially, you have to want to learn. You have to want to get better. You have to be willing to acknowledge those weaknesses, and you have to be eager to get better at those weaknesses and turn them into strengths. You don't have to be good at everything, but you can get better at everything.
Yeah. How often do you go, it's off season obviously now.
Yeah.
How often do you go back and watch the season? Do you go back and watch the season, or are you done?
I haven't watched back the season yet. I was
Do you usually?
Personally?
Yeah.
I think I definitely watch clips back. I have my own
watch clips.
I have my own thing of
highlight
clips.
Reel or stuff. Not a highlight reel, but just a reel of all of your moments.
Yeah,
for the season.
I even look back I play the 6.
Yeah.
I don't get the opportunity to drive forward a ton. I love to look back at when I score. I do. I totally understand where 9s get their swagger from. Are you kidding me? I watch clips from the few goals that I've scored and I'm that is sick.
Why don't college players, when was the last time you made a highlight tape?
You know what's actually very interesting? I'll tell you this. one of my housemates in my class, she's a goalie. Mm-hmm. And before one of our games, I looked over at her, and she was watching a highlight reel she had made of herself on her phone. It was hilarious and awesome.
Yeah, because...
And she said that she's like, I have to remind myself sometimes of the player that I am and what I am capable of. So and it was awesome. She's watched Hope solo highlights.
I love that.
And we used to tell her, like, we used to say that she was channeling. Yeah. We used to say that she was channeling Hope Solo. We'd be like, she'd make a great save, and we'd be like, that's Hope.
Yeah.
Like, it was hilarious, but it was really helpful, I think, mentally.
I don't understand why that stopped. Like, I mean, how many highlight reels did you make in high school? Tons.
Yeah.
Too many to count.
Because the purpose was different. The purpose was recruitment and to show somebody else how good you were, whereas if you're making one in college, for the most part, it's to show yourself how good you are.
Yeah, but, I mean, Charisma had to bend over backwards to try and get her old tape from UB, because she's like, wow, I haven't really, because she's trying to, go overseas.
Yeah.
This is a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to start telling all of our college players, start making season highlight tapes, because you also don't know, maybe you could have an opportunity to play pro. And also, let's say you get that job in Utah, right? Go play for the Royals. Go play for their UWS team or whatever it is. Seriously. And they're not going to know you from Boo, right? So you just be like, here, boom, Cornell, junior year, Abby Bishara. I'll make it. I'll do it. Give me the clips and I'll make it. I love doing that for Charisma. I love making highlight tapes. I mean, I'm doing that for it's part of the service that we're doing now. Mm-hmm. Not really like highlight tapes, but it's whatchamacallit. What, dude? Need water? Yeah, I would do that for you. Send me clip it all up, and then I'll just put them all together. It's very easy. I'm doing one for Emma Payne, who scored 32 goals, 31 goals, whatever.
A whole lot of goals.
Whole lot of goals. But a couple years ago, I sent her mom, and I don't know if they ever did it or anything, because I was trying to help her out, because I don't like one-trick ponies, meaning I don't want players that can only score in one way. You ever play with somebody that only scored on breakaways? Or Abby Wambach, who only scored with her head? I don't like one-trick ponies. I thought Alex Morgan was a one-trick pony, and that's why she was left out of the Olympic squad.
Well, when you're scouting a team, it's easy to figure out that one trick and shut it down.
Exactly, right? And so I made up this thing where it's goal scorer bingo or playmaker goal scorer bingo, and it's all the different ways that I think you can score, right? Head, right foot volley, left foot volley, one touch, chest to volley, off your thigh, off the dribble with your left foot, off the dribble with your right foot, set piece, corner kick Olympico, PK, everything, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do is I have all of her goals, and then I'm just going to sit there and play bingo and cross off all the goals that she had. Watch it, thinking about it right now, I think I came up with 19 ways to score, and I think she had only like 7 or 8. So that's going to be a point of emphasis of her going into next year. Be like, you need to be able to score in even more ways. She did score a sweet goal with her thigh, though. It was awesome. She scored some really good goals and some meaningful goals, too. But good old Clarence. She's like player of the B.
As a freshman, I saw that.
It's first time ever or something like that. And then silver.
I like to watch the Clarence legacy continue.
You didn't have silver. He was on the boys' side when you were there, right?
He was like an assistant my senior year.
Oh, that's right, when he came back.
But I mean, silver was like my elementary school gym teacher.
Elementary, yeah. Mm-hmm. Do the people at Cornell say elementary?
No, it's like
it's a Buffalo thing.
It's a Buffalo thing. I get I get made fun of it, but elementary sounds wrong. Elementary, I think it's awesome.
In all the Sherlock movies ever, all the TV shows about Sherlock Holmes ever, it's never elementary, my dear boy. It's elementary, my dear boy. I
think you're dating yourself right now.
Shut up. When I came here and started hearing that, I'm like, I'm going to lose it if I hear elementary one more time. Or like modified. What the hell does modified mean? Like modified soccer?
Yeah.
What the hell
Middle
is that?
school?
I never
played
soccer?
that. I never played
I
that.
know. That's not a thing in most places either. There are like 4 schools in Michigan where like I was growing up that had it, and they just played each other. Everybody else didn't have it. They were playing club.
Yeah. I mean, I played club in middle school. I didn't play for the school.
And then like all these like 8th graders playing high school, so they'll have like ECNL practice 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then they have high school varsity practice 3 or 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have 2 games, and then they maybe have an ECNL on a weekend. So and some weeks they could have 8 practices and 6 games. It's insane.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them. I had a girl last night that had that go on. She played at Newport. But senior year, I can't believe you're going to be a senior already.
Oh, scary.
And then you're going to be done?
And then we'll see what the future holds, I guess.
You got to go to Europe for just 1 year and just play for 1 year.
You talk to my mom about that and see what she has to say.
She's saying no.
She would say, no way.
Why? Just for 1 year? Just for 1 year. Prove that you can do it. Then you have no regret. And then
Well, it's
you're
funny.
like,
My
you know
summer
what?
league team reached out and was like, if you're interested in playing like in Portugal, like let us know.
What?
For some like 3rd division Portugal team.
Yeah, I mean, and the funds aren't gonna like be there, but Portugal would be pretty dope. You should talk to Kelsey Arajo, because she was on the Portuguese net. No.
Well, now there's all the Super League stuff. Have you been following that at all?
No.
You know the Super League
with the women.
The women.
With the women, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a girl on my summer league team who she had played at Williams a few years ago and like won a bunch of it was like 6. She like we carpooled to practice. She lived in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
And she just had like the national champs hat discarded in the back seat. She's like, oh yeah, it was like my dad's or something. Like she won the national championship with Williams for a couple years, and she'd been playing for this team. I'm assuming she had some sort of like a regular adult job, but then she went and got signed with a team in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I want to say she had like a bunch of stipends for room and board, groceries, and she got paid on top of that. Honestly, if someone's looking to play professional soccer, it's a pretty sweet gig.
Yeah. I mean, and I think our Western New York girls, we're gonna have a few come up and play professional soccer. I mean, you got Linda, you got Shay, Ree, Ella if she wants it.
I think Moran.
Really?
If she wanted it.
Where is she at now?
Ohio State.
She's still at Ohio State?
Yeah.
I thought she transferred for some reason.
She was like a 3-year starter. She's captain this year. I mean, I always thought she was a great player.
Marissa could have if she wanted to. She didn't really want to.
Well, I think a lot of girls also are physically pretty spent by the end of college soccer. I look at girls like who have graduated out of my team and like they're just trying to like become and feel like a regular human being again because your body just takes such a high load.
There was one thing where like Alex Morgan would talk about how many miles she runs a week.
Yeah.
And it was like between games and practice and just on her own. And it got anywhere between 25 and 40. I forget the number.
Yeah, we wear trackers.
Do you track yours?
Yeah, we wear trackers.
How many miles are you putting on? So you texted me one time after a game and you ran 8 point what?
So let's say I'm playing a full game, I'm running between 8 and 9.
Right.
I always say
As a 6.
Yeah. I always say I know we've played better when my mileage is lower. The games that we've really like destroyed teams, I feel like
you ran less.
I ran less.
Yep.
I'm making less recovery runs.
Yep, because you're resting in possession.
100%.
Yep, because defending is so much harder, and people don't realize that either.
Like when we beat Syracuse, which we were like we just had them pinned in their half.
Yeah.
So I was just like chilling out there, circulating the ball, whereas I wasn't like running, making 80-yard dashes back.
What was the hardest game? Pepperdine?
No, my highest mileage, I want to say maybe Brown. Maybe Brown, maybe.
Was that the 1-0 game?
Yes.
Okay.
It might have been one of the earlier games, though. It might have been Boston College, actually.
How'd you guys do against them?
We lost 3-2. But it was a game that we very much could have at least tied.
Yeah.
There was a girl on that team who she also ran track at Boston College and had like 5 school records. And there was one time I remember I stayed with her.
Like Boston College track
Yes,
records?
Boston College track
Jesus.
records. And there was one time where she made a run. She like broke free on the wing. And I stayed with her from midfield to the end line, and I ran her out of bounds. And I was like, I'm done. I'm spent. Like, I just hit 17.8 miles per hour or whatever my tracker said.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, it was funny. She was quick for sure. It might have been Boston College. I played the full 90 that game. I was running a lot that game. Usually I'm around 8 miles a game.
And then, okay, what about practices?
4 to 5.
4 to 5 per practice.
Mm-hmm.
So on a given week, you could be running, let's call game 16. And then how many actual practices are you running? So if you have a game on Wednesday and Saturday, or
like
Wednesday,
before, like
Sunday,
before we have conference play.
Yeah, normal game week. How many actual practices are you actually having?
Well, probably, it depends. We're probably rolling off a practice from Saturday that week. So we'd have off Sunday. So then there wouldn't be a recovery group. Monday, Tuesday, real practice.
Real practice. So
game Wednesday.
So we're talking about, so you're at 26 miles now if you're playing 90s.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, so Monday, Tuesday, real practice. Wednesday game. Thursday, recovery groups, we do more so, I feel like, in conference play.
Yeah.
So I'm probably like only 2.5, 3 on that.
So what are recovery
day.
groups? Is it the players that didn't play, or is it the players that played?
No, the players that played are in recovery groups.
Right. So
it's like a certain minutes.
Whereas the players that didn't play are actually in a full on
practice.
session.
Usually playing like 8 aside, like some really fun stuff.
Yeah. Do you guys? Who runs that? Does Rob run that?
Yeah, all of our coaches run that.
Okay,
we
good.
have our strength coach is there with us, and we do.
Gotcha.
Like we all warm up
you guys are
together,
just doing recovery.
and we do our FIFA warm up, which our FIFA warm up is like probably a mile.
Yeah.
You're probably running a mile during that at least. And then like a couple of times, like we just wanted to move. So we'd run a couple like slow jogs around the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do a bunch of band stretching, some core stuff.
And
Sometimes
so
we
if
do
that's
some
Thursday,
sprinting stuff.
If that's Thursday, would Friday be a full practice
Friday
again?
would be a pretty real practice, yeah.
So you're about 30 miles a month, easy.
A month?
Or a week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Holy
probably around there.
crap.
Yeah, I'm probably around there. Your body gets. I'm very used to
Obviously,
it though.
Yeah, obviously you are. Now,
I eat a lot of carbs.
what's the first week off? Do you could just like not do anything?
After our season ended?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. I took a day off.
You took a day off.
I can't not. I tried to give myself.
Yeah, that's how you got hurt your senior year, remember? You wouldn't stop.
Well, that was just craziness.
This is stupid. I just saw that video. That's when I got this guy. I got him, and he's laying down, so I don't want to like wake him up. I got him. You were on crutches. You had your boot.
Yes.
And then I have that. I saw that video because I was going through all of our archives and stuff like that.
I don't know how legitimate that diagnosis was.
What do you
I
mean?
think I could have played on that.
No.
It was like
you
a little.
have.
It was a stress
Stop.
fracture that didn't even like
Stop.
show up on the X-ray. It was good.
Yeah, but if you play on it, it could get worse.
I think I would have been fine, but I ended up
You're
being
smarter
fine.
than that.
It was honestly,
You're
and
smarter than
it was
that.
in a good period of time because then I was back for all of July. I was back for pretty much all of June and July. So I'd honestly rested, so I felt pretty great. And I was obviously able to come in like fit and pretty strong, and my soccer was good. But what was I saying? Oh, I took a day off after
A day off.
Well, okay, here's the thing. It's like, what are you resting? So for me, it was like something that I struggled with this season was my cleats were like causing major like feet problems for me. So I was
Nikes?
like, yeah, like
too narrow?
really bad. No, I have like I tie my cleats pretty tight. Like I have like a little more narrow feet. And actually,
Landed on him.
our athletic trainer, love her, Emily, was like, I was like an old person. I had to wear like callus pads strapped to my feet.
You're not alone though. There's a lot of players that
Because
I know
it
in
was
here
literally
that are
like there
that.
were rocks in my
I think
feet.
it's Nike, man.
So, and she was explaining to me, I have a stud right there, like where the calluses were. And I mean, these things were literally felt like I had like stones in my cleat. And I just talked to her the other week, and this woman executive of this like cleat 4-woman company came to Cornell.
Really?
And she like attended her like webinar or whatever, and she has a pair for me waiting when I come back of these women.
Because you were just
4 women cleats.
Normal, right?
Yeah, I'm like 7.5 men's tiempo, whatever.
Yeah, I never understood that. Like, why aren't there more like women? There's women's sneakers.
Right. Well, cleats are very unisex, I feel like.
Okay.
So I struggled with that. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to put cleats on for like a week. And I put a pair of cleats on for the first time when I had come back here that following weekend when I was here.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm like pounding on like hard ground. Like I'm in here doing finishing like quick little feet movements. I mean, even then I still felt it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I really wanted to maintain all the fitness I had. Like I was like running 8.5, 9 miles a game, and I felt good after games. I was like, I could go into double OT right now. So I did like a mixture of stuff. I also in the past have struggled with like shin splints. Mm-hmm. Again, because you're just pounding on the ground so hard. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to like kind of mix up the cardio I did. A lot of assault bike. I started incline walking.
Incline walking is like a big fad right now.
Yeah. Feels good on the hamstrings. Like it was on days that I would like lift and I'd hit legs, like I'd incline walk instead of running. And I still ran like normal. Like I did a couple of track workouts, but I lifted pretty much every day.
What about rowing machine?
Yeah.
No.
Not like my speed that much.
You'd rather assault bike?
I'd rather assault bike. I did this one heinous workout that we used to do where it's like assault bike into a 200-yard shuttle. And you do a quarter mile on the assault bike, you get off on our speed thing, and you're like down, back, down, back, down, back, down, back. And then you go back on and do another quarter, and you do that for a mile.
It's like CrossFit type stuff.
So just trying to maintain that fitness and also get my, like, I don't lose that much strength in season. No? Like, definitely, like, I run off some muscle a little bit.
Do you guys have an exit fitness test?
No.
You don't?
No.
Do you
because once the last game ends, it's like 2 weeks. No, you can't be with us. Like, that's like a hard and fast rule, kind of. Okay. And then, like, after the first week, we were allowed to have...
Is that countrywide? Or is that an Ivy thing? Or is it a Cornell thing? Or is
I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
Definitely a Cornell thing.
It might be an NCAA thing. I'm not sure.
So we're in our 2 weeks, and then we had, like, a team meeting, and then you have your individual meeting. And then we just started up again this past week. Like, a lot of lifting, running, playing a little bit of soccer. And then... we'll get back after this Thanksgiving break. Mm-hmm. We'll have 4 or 5 days of stuff. And then I don't know who this is a rule for either, but you have to have off. We have like a 7-day exam study period at Cornell before finals. So you're not allowed to play your sport during that time. So then we have off from that 7-week period all the way through winter break, because that's what that bleeds into. Then we come back January 18th or 19th or whatever it is, and then we're back at it.
What if you made it all the way to the finals?
The rules are a little different, I think. They're a little more flex with that.
Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah. But that's how that goes. So it's kind of weird with this. It's kind of weird when like the season ends, because it's like usually we don't even have that 1 week before Thanksgiving. That's just how it worked out this year, with like Thanksgiving being kind of later. But it's good. I mean, I was like, I go crazy during the break, the 2-week break. I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. I like wake up in the morning, I work out before my classes.
Well, you sent me the picture of you and all the Nike soccer balls.
Yeah, that was on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But like a class day.
Well, I guess you were back on it, back with your team.
No, not yet. That was still in the off period. That was the start of the second week.
Okay.
Or the end of the second week.
Yep. When do you go back? After Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're done. So you're home all next week.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'll be in Columbus, but.
Oh, that's right. When are you going?
On Thanksgiving.
You're going on Thanksgiving. It's spending Thanksgiving in a hotel, and then going to Michigan, Ohio State.
Yes.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Michigan isn't that good this year, I thought.
What?
I thought Michigan isn't that good this year.
They're not. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh, like a bloodbath? Like they're going to get destroyed?
Yeah.
College football is a whole other different thing. Not at like Cornell, actually, they play in like the FCS or whatever. Yeah. Which is different. But I'm excited to go to my first, like...
real college game?
I don't want to say real college football game to
I can't believe that's your first one.
Yeah, I've
been
busy.
You haven't been ever before.
It's not a lot of time for me to go.
This is your brother's what? How many? I know he has like a year and a half left.
Like his 4th year.
His 4th year. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess he had always had high school soccer, or then ECNL stuff, and then obviously.
Yeah, I stay booked and busy.
Well, it's 3rd year.
That's how I like it. Mm-hmm. But like even at school, like I'd work out in the morning before my classes because I get up pretty like naturally early.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, I'm up. I might as well go work out, and then I'd have class, and then I'd go home. And I'm like a person where I always like, especially in season, like all my homework for the week is done on that Sunday for the upcoming week.
What time is your interview?
3:30.
Oh, okay, good. I gotta get going here.
But
we did an hour.
We killed that.
It's easy. See? And you were like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know what we're gonna talk about." It's like, dude, it's just a conversation.
Well, it's like it's
what?
Singing the same tune.
It's exactly what we do out there.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? So
make me look good in this, all right? Make me look like a real intellectual.
Oh, damn it. There's one thing that I wanted to talk to you about real quick. Remember your patent for the whatchamacallit?
I never actually got the patent.
You never got the patent?
No.
Because I was wondering if like Q-Collar used any of your technology. Do you know what
please. I know what a Q-Collar is. Q-Collar didn't know about my technology.
I don't know. I don't know how a Q-Collar works. I'm trying to get my nephew to wear one.
Q-Collar, I think it's something with the
around the neck.
Where it puts the pressure on allows more blood flow to your head, so it creates more padding around, so it prevents the shaking of the skull.
Okay, so what was your technology?
My technology wasn't like concussion prevention. It was like Here's what I found. It was
Siri?
like preventing concussion worsening. So like it tested how testing how hard you got hit to the head.
Oh, that's right.
Because a lot of the times you get hit in the head,
right.
and then you keep playing, and then
right.
it gets worse. So that was kind of the whole point of my technology. But that was a very long time ago. So that was a long time ago. That was a great call.
What year? What year was that?
It
was like 6 years ago.
When I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
7 years ago.
7 years ago. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for doing this. We'll do it again.
Of course.
We'll do it again with like Sarah or Cam or something like that.
Yeah, we'll get in here all together.
Awesome. Thank you.